Oh my god. I'm actually so excited. I've officially gotten the books Go Color 7 unboxed with the case and everything. Love it so much. She's a little bear right now. All you see is reflection, but trust and believe she is a little bear right now. I'm waiting for stickers to come in, to be quite honest with you, so that is why she is bare. And I'm also debating on where I want to put the pop socket or if I even need it, but we'll see. But I just wanted to go over my first thoughts on this. I've had this for around like a week-ish now, like a week or two, and I just want to give you guys my first thoughts on how I like it so far. Is it worth it? If it's like the Kindle, anything like that. So yeah, we're just gonna get into it. So I don't know about you guys, but when the Kobo Libra color came out, I was like, oh my god, I want to get that so badly because I truly, from the bottom of my heart, I love my Kindle, especially my Oasis, even though the battery life is not that good at all, but that's a story for another time. But I adore my Oasis so much because of the page turners. That's why I wanted the Libra color, because that also has page turners. But the only thing that made me not want to get the Kobo Libra is because I'm very integrated with the Kindle ecosystem. It's an unfortunate thing when you get a Kindle, like you get everything on a Kindle, whether you buy it or you have things sent on Libby to the Kindle, or even like Kindle Unlimited. Like you're pretty integrated with it once you are a Kindle owner, I feel like, unless you get it through other means, which not judging you, but that's just not how I did it. But that was my biggest setback with getting the Kobo Libra, because it's literally the Kobo system, and then they do have overdrive, but it's different than like reading it on a Kindle because some of these things are not available on overdrive. And also too, like I use Kindle Unlimited, so that was just like a whole thing. There was someone on TikTok that was saying you can literally download all the things that you've already bought on Kindle and basically like save the files and then put it onto your Libra, which true, I could have done that, but it was a lot of work for a little payout in my opinion, and I just wanted to keep it more convenient because I literally switch between devices all the time. Even between my two Kindles, because I have two Kindles, the Paperwhite and the Oasis, I'll switch between the two all the time and I'll catch the syncing of it. And then also on the go, if I don't have my Kindle on me or if it's dead or something, I'll read it on my phone and then it'll also sync up that way. So even beyond just the capacity of being able to read something, I need something to sync up with my reads too. And the Kobo just didn't seem feasible in my opinion. So I was looking at the boox Palma device, which literally is nothing like the Oasis or the Libra, but it was like something that was small, handheld, and it had the Android OS system on it, so you can download apps, which includes the Kindle app, which I thought was perfect. But I was still a little bit hesitant to get the Palma just because like it is so small and I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it, and like the whole point of it was that I wanted to get page turners. So yeah, I wasn't sure. But boox, the same company that has the Palma, they released a new e-reader that is very similar to their boox page e-reader, but it is in color as well. So I saw it, I was excited, and I decided to take the bullet and go with it. So this is the colored version, and as you can see, you can set your own screensavers. Don't mind the fingerprints. As you can see, it does track a lot of fingerprints, but you can set your own backgrounds to it. So I set the Miles Morales one. It's been a good time. So far, so good. As far as sizing goes, it's pretty similar to the Oasis. It's a little bit smaller than the Oasis, I would say. Like just a tiny bit, but nothing too crazy. Compared to the Oasis, both of them have cases on, so literally I would never feel it if I didn't take off the case. But the Oasis is like a smooth, like metal feeling type of vibe, whereas this is like plastic, but it's like texture plastic, so it's easy to grip, because with the Oasis there's like a divot to it, so that's why it makes it so easy to hold on to. And honestly, I don't need a pop socket with the Oasis. I think it's way more comfortable without having a pop socket. But with the Go Color 7, I mean, it's still not that bad, but you know, if you want a pop socket, I would go get it. So as far as orientation goes, both of them you can rotate kind of I say, just it depends. So with the Kindle Oasis, you can basically flip it any way, like this way, read it this way or this way, and it'll automatically do it. But if you want to read it like this, you have to go in manually into the settings and set it that way, and then you can read it like this or like this. And that is kind of a hassle, if I'm being quite honest with you. Like, if you're reading and then you decide to change it up and you want to do it this way instead of this way, to go into the setting while you're mid-read to change that is a little bit of an inconvenience. Of course, it's like a minor thing and it's really not that big of a deal. But yeah, that's the only thing. But luckily with the Kindle Oasis, I really don't mind reading it either this way or this way. So it's really not that big of a deal, and it does switch pretty seamlessly. But for the Go Color 7, if you do the settings to be this way from the jump where it auto rotates, it'll rotate any which way that you hold it. But the only caveat is it depends on the app that you're in. And also even within the apps that you are using, it depends on what you're reading as well. So when you're in like the home screen-ish area, it literally will flip however you want. But when you go into certain apps, so for example, Kindle, you have to hold it this way. Otherwise, it won't rotate with you. And then when you get into an actual book, it will then auto-rotate. But even within that, like for books, yes, it will do that. But with graphic novels, you have to hold it this way as well, which is kind of a little irritating just because as someone who likes like moving my device like all the time, unless it's a paperwhite, because it literally doesn't matter which way I hold it. When you hold it like between this and this, it literally rotates the same. But literally for a bigger device like this, I would want it to auto rotate, but it doesn't really do that seamlessly throughout the apps. So that is one thing to think about if that is important to you. I don't really mind it so much. Like if I know I'm gonna read a graphic novel on here, like I will brace myself to read it this way. For the most part, I haven't had any issues with the actual books itself on Libby as well as Kindle. Another thing to consider is the battery life. So the Kindle Oasis, the battery life is not good. Let's be so for real. The battery is not good, but the Paperwhite is actually very, very good. So if you're going from the Oasis to the Go Color 7, it's really not that big of a deal. Honestly, I would say this might be the better battery life than the Oasis. It just really depends, since the battery depletes on this a lot faster when you have a lot more apps up, since it does run the Google Play Android OS system, whereas this is literally just a Kindle. But if you're going from the Paperwhite to this definitely doesn't have as good of a battery life compared to my Kindle. Literally, I have had my Kindle on for the last week or so, reading back-to-back books, literally 6 books, and it's still on like 20 something percent. Literally, it's on 20 something percent. And that's crazy because the fact that I read 6 books on there nonstop and each of them at least like 4 hours each, that's crazy. But for this, it depends on how many apps that you run. So I personally have this set as not turning off right away. The default setting is that like after 5 minutes or something like that, it will automatically completely shut down. And I think that is there to help preserve the battery. But personally for me, I don't like booting it up every single time that I want to read and having to wait for that system to go off, because it's not that long. It doesn't take like forever, but it does kind of take a little bit of time. Whereas with the Kindle, you just turn it on and it starts right up. So I wanted to avoid that. So I turned that off. And with that, it does deplete in the background as it is on sleep mode. Like when I first set it to that and it didn't have that many apps running, like maybe one app running, it went from, I want to say like 80% to 60% in a matter of like 2-3 days. So that kind of goes to show like how much it really depletes even when it's just running background apps or when it's not even actively being used. So that is one thing to consider when having this sort of device. And I would say that that's not the case only with the Go Color 7. It probably is the case with all of the books devices because they are all running on the Android OS system. But I would say like this probably lasts like a week without charging, a week or 2, which is very similar to the Kindle. So if you're okay with that and charging it at least once a week, I would say this is still very much worth the battery life. It charges with a USB-C. As you know, I love that about this device. The newer Kindle Paperwhite has the USB-C, so that is super helpful. You can use the same charger, although this does come with a charger. So if you don't have a USB-C and you're going from like an Oasis or something, it does come with it. I love the fact that it's USB-C. I have a lot of devices. Even my phone has a USB-C charger. So when you're traveling and everything, like you literally could just bring one charger and be good to go, and it will work across all devices. Whereas with the Kindle Paperwhite, it's a micro USB, and I don't like that. It's actually like kind of annoying that that is the fact, but I love my Oasis, so I guess I have to deal with it. You know? Also, too, another thing to consider that is kind of minor is the case choices. So the Oasis have cases. Paperwhites have a lot of cases, but with this, they don't have that many case choices. So I was luckily able to find a case because basically this is a boox pages device, but in color. So if you search that up for the clear cases, it will come up, and that is an option. But even then, when I was putting it on, it was a little bit of a snug fit. So even then, I'm not even sure if I'm able to put on stickers without it protruding out or anything like that. But if you're one of those people that like the cases that like close and everything like that, you might have to get a universal case. I've only seen one case specific to the Go Color 7 that was available, and even then it wasn't available on Prime. You had to get it directly through the website. I think by now maybe they'll have it on Amazon, but that is another thing to consider if you do like a case on your device for the Go Color 7. It's really not that big of a deal breaker for me, especially since I was able to find the alternative. But especially if you want one of those cases that close on top of it, that is definitely something to consider. There's very limited options. I've only seen it in black, and that's it. As far as the colored system goes, I genuinely like it a lot. I've been able to read a few graphic novels on it, and I liked it. I genuinely liked it a lot because not that it would look the same as it would on an electronic device. Like when I read it on an iPad, it looks way different than when I read it on this e-reader system. I mean, if you're getting this to read graphic novels, I would hope that you know that it looks different than your phone and an iPad or a computer screen. The biggest thing for me and why I got it and why I got it for graphic novels is that I read a lot at night. To read an iPad at night in the dark, it strains your eyes. Like my eyes hurt if I'm reading like a lot of graphic novels at night on my iPad. So I did want to get this for that reason, because like, what are we doing out here hurting our eyes in this day and age when we could just get an e-reader that is literally good enough and it reads like paper? Of course, it also doesn't read like paper. Like, for example, this is what it looks like on the Go Color 7. So it's pretty bright, and you can also like raise the brightness up. This is what it looks like at max brightness, and you can see that it's still not like super vivid in color or anything like that, but it's like pretty good to read. And I would say that like even looking at it, because it is e-ink, guys, like at the end of the day, remember that this is e-ink and it's not going to be as detailed, but for an e-ink screen, I feel like that's still pretty good. And you can see a lot of detail in it, because even when you bring up like mangas, you see a lot more detail. I'm going to pull up a manga. So this is a manga that's completely in black and white. So this is the Kindle on the left, and then this is the boox color on the right. And from this one, you can't really tell the difference, I feel like. Okay, so you can kind of tell the difference here. This, you could see a little bit more detail in the line work and everything like that. Whereas this one, yeah, it's there, but if you appreciate the line work and the details in the art, I would say that this one, the boox definitely shows it a little bit more. So that is something to consider if you are reading manga. I would say the books, generally any of the books devices probably are way better than the Kindles. I feel like whenever I read, not that I read a lot of manga on these devices, to be quite honest with you, but when I did, you can definitely tell a difference. To be honest, you can definitely tell a difference on the Kindle. Whenever I read it on a Kindle, it was pretty washed out, especially in certain scenes where like you needed to see a little bit more of the faint line work to really see the picture in the way that the artist would want you to see it. You're gonna lose that in the Kindle. Whereas with the boox Color 7, you see a lot more of the line work, and you can also change the different settings so that you can have like the contrast better, or you can have the brightness, and like play around with the different optimization of the lighting setting so that you can tune it to what you want. I just chose, I think, vivid, and that worked really well with the graphic novels, since I am primarily reading graphic novels on this device, and that works really well for me. Of course, like I'm gonna pull up an example of an actual graphic novel. This is what an actual graphic novel looks like. Of course, it's not gonna be as vivid as this because this is literally printed on specific paper to bring out the colors in the story. But in my opinion, I think it's pretty good for what you are getting. I feel like people who are very enthusiastic about reading graphic novels on an electric screen or through print, this device is probably something they won't get for the graphic novel experience or like the comic experience. But if you are just a reader, general lover of it, and you just want to save your eyes a little bit, this might be the device for you. Of course, play around with it, see if you do like it. You do definitely have to get used to it, but once you do get used to it and you do like it, I would say it's so worth it, especially if you're a night reader. That's just my take on it. And I've only had it for like a week or so, so maybe I will change my mind on it, but that's just my first thoughts on it. And then also another thing that I truly enjoy about this is just the fact that it has a Google Play Store. Literally any app that you can get on your phone. I mean, most apps you can get on your phone, you can get through the Google Play Store. So like even if you have an Android and the Google Play Store, all the apps that you can get on your phone, quite literally, you can get on this device, which is super nice. So just to be able to have all my reading apps on this one device is super nice. Like literally, Kindle's on there, Libby's on there. I have an app called Hoopla and that's on there. And I also have Goodreads on there, which is nice to have because sometimes like after I'm done reading a book, I have to get my phone out or my computer out and like do all that. Another nice thing is that you can listen to audiobooks on here as well. There is a speaker, so you don't need to do the whole Bluetooth headphone situation like you would a Kindle. Of course, I believe that will also deplete the battery as well. But if you want that experience while you're physically reading the book or something like that, or you just want to have one device for all of that, it is here. So I'll just borrow any random book so you can kind of hear it. I haven't tried it on this device, to be quite honest with you, so I don't really know the quality of it. But from the videos I've seen, the quality seems fine, so we'll see together. So this is what it looks like with the audio. I got A Curse for True Love.
A Curse for True Love, written by Stephanie Garber.
This is what it sounds like.
Read by Rebecca Soler and Dan Bittner. For a second, the agony was so deep and so brutal. She clutched.
I mean, it's not bad, but if you wanted like it to be a speaker, you're not gonna get that here. Let's be so for real, guys. Like, don't expect a speaker, but if you're thinking about like your phone, it's not gonna be as loud as your phone. I feel like they're built differently, so of course it's not gonna be like your phone. But if you're like close by, you can hear it, and I believe you can connect your headphones to it as well if you want that crisp experience. But the option is there if you want it to be playing on a speaker on the actual device. Personally, I never thought to listen to an audiobook on this device, so that's not why I got it. But if that matters to you, then maybe that is something to consider with this device as well. I mean, those are all the key takeaways that I've had so far while using this device. I genuinely, despite some of the setbacks that I've had with the device, with like the orientation and the battery life, I still very much enjoy it. My primary reason was for the graphic novel, so because of that, I do adore it and I do like the colored device. Kindle is set to come out with another device that also does color as well to compete with the Kobo Libra, as well as the boox Go Color. boox Color Go? I think it's Go Color 7. But Kindle is also set to come out with the colored e-reader device to compete with the Kobo Libra Color, as well as the boox Go Color 7. So Kindle is gonna come out with a device. So if you want to wait for that and see how that plays out, you can do that too. I think they're set to come out with it probably next year. I don't really know for sure, so don't quote me on that. But if you want to try something and you are very deep in the Kindle ecosystem like I am, don't mind a shorter battery life compared to a Paperwhite, this might be the device for you. But that's it, guys. Let me know if you guys have this device, if you like it, don't like it. I would love to hear your opinions on it. If you guys are considering it and have more questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. I will answer them to the best of my ability. I'm not like an expert or an ambassador or anything like that, so I might not be able to answer all of them, but I will try my best based on my experiences and the things that I've seen. I would love to hear your guys' opinion on like colored e-readers too. A lot of people seem to like it, other people seem to not like it, so I think it's probably a mixed bag. Interested to hear what you guys have to think as well, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!